All right. Joining us right now on 94.5 KTBL, The Pit, and the Zero Hour Squared Classics is an artist who's been around for a little while, but is absolutely blowing up big time. This is his time right now. He's getting ready to release a brand new album called Entire State of Tim Montana that is slated to be released July 31st. I am joined by the man himself, Mr. Tim Montana. Tim, welcome. How are you doing, man?
Better than I deserve. Thanks for having me, man.
All right, man. Dude, you kind of look, you've been around for since what, 2008. You have several albums underneath your belt. Let's see, one, two, three, four, five, six, like six, seven albums already, and you're getting ready to release entire state of Montana here shortly, and that's got a brand new single that you also are doing or did with Billy F. Gibbons of ZZ Top fame, of course, and Slash. And we'll talk about that. But first, let's get some background on you for our Albuquerque listeners, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started.
Yeah, I grew up in rural Montana, single wide trailer. We were off grid, so when I was like 6, I got a pawn shop guitar and started playing music. Didn't have television, didn't have modern amenities. Had an outhouse out back and lived on the side of a mountain that would get 50, 60 below zero in the wintertime. And a lot of people thought we were going green, being off grid and saving the earth. I'm like, no, it's called a thing called poverty. You should check it out one time. It builds character. And just haven't looked back. Left Montana at 18 with nothing but a dream, and went to Los Angeles music school. Failed out of music school twice. Ended up in Nashville. Started getting songs recorded by other artists. Moved back to Montana. Bought a lodge up here at Billy Gibbons. Turned in the song called "Devil You Know." It blew up, and here we are, man. It's been a pretty wild ride with crazy turns and curves and things I didn't see coming, and some things I did. So
Wow. So that must have been quite the childhood growing up off of the grid. Like you said, it's not necessarily off the grid. It's poverty, and we see that growing so many places here in New Mexico, all over the place as well. So for you though, music obviously was an escape path and a savior, as it is for almost 99% of the planet. How did you start yourself? How old were you when you started playing guitar and realized that you had a real knack for it?
probably like 6, and my mom was still talks about it. She's amazed I'd hear something on the radio, and seconds later I was playing it. She was like, "What the heck?" So it was like that ear thing, right? And some people are born with that, some people aren't. And I'm not like some musical savant. I could just always hear things and figure out how to play them rather quick. And I have one of my kids. I have 4 kids. One of my kids can do that. I'll hear her. She listens to a song and then she figures that out on the piano. And she's not trained or nothing. She just knows it, right? So yeah, that's when I picked up on that. And we had a pawn shop up in northern Montana in the Flathead Valley, and I remember there'd be tapes and CDs that would come in boxes. And I pulled something out of a box. This had to be, I was really young. Had to be like early 90s, but I found an old, like, it had to be a radio promo that had Mr. Brownstone on one side and Welcome to the Jungle on the other. And I had an old crappy tape player. And I remember hearing the intro to Welcome to the Jungle and being like, oh my God, what is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's literally my first musical memory I can remember was Guns N' Roses. So when I had that full moment thing with Slash, I told him that and sent him an article. And he'd already recorded the song with me, and he's like, "Dude, I didn't know that. Wow." So
Right. That's a great segue to the question I want to ask you because much like Appetite for Destruction, I consider what you do. You have no barriers. You cross over all cool lines: country, metal, hard rock, blues, all of that encompassed into what Tim Montana does, and it resonates, man. Everybody loves it. It's kind of how it's like Garth Brooks with Guns N' Roses, bands like that. They're groups like that. They're able to just capture something in everybody's heart one way or another. And I think the common denominator is heaviness. The heaviness of life transcends into heaviness of music, in which Tim Montana creates. Tell us a little bit about that.
yeah, I dabbled in the Nashville space for 18 years, and it never really clicked in country because I was always too heavy. My lyrics were too dark. But I learned how to write songs. I mean, I'm very fortunate to have got in the room with some of the biggest, from Grammy winning to Hall of Fame writers. I mean, I remember writing with Chris Stapleton one day, and I was like, how in the hell did I end up in this room? Because that dude is a beast. And So I didn't, being in Nashville wasn't in vain, but they never let me in the party, right? So then finally I was like, I'm going to write a song that sounds like stuff I was writing when I was 15, so influenced by grunge, like Alice in Chains, Nirvana, Soundgarden, all those bands. And so I did Devil You Know, and I left Nashville thinking my record deal was over. And I came to find out a year later that the head guy was like, yeah, had you not turned in that song that blew up at Rock, it probably would have been. And I was like, I knew it. He's like, you were a rock artist, dude, confused in Nashville. I was like, geographically confused because I grew up in the woods. But yeah, but it writing for multiple genres, learning the blues, learning rock and roll, learning how to write for country stuff is just all part of this kind of, school of hard knocks PhD, if you will, whatever that is, of just learning music, and songwriting especially. So
I think you also encompass another, or you have also another gift, and that's kind of the gift to kind of get everybody to kind of party, feel good. This is, I mean, you do have the darker edge and some very introspective songs, but at the end of the day, I think what I really take from Tim Montana's music is the fact that I feel good. You know what I mean? Afterwards, I feel good. And one of those songs that makes me feel really good is Brown Sugar, and again, collaboration with Billy F. Gibbons as well as Slash. Let's just put it this way, man. That song is like Nashville grit, Texas dirt, and Hollywood sleaze all combined into one package, man. Tell us
yeah,
about that song. How did it come together?
I wanted to pay homage. Billy's been a guy in my corner before anybody. We've been buddies for, I think we're going on 14 years. And we own a couple businesses together. I didn't do very well in the dad department, but I met Billy when I was like 29 years old, and he's kind of that father figure to me. So we started making music, and this record, I was like, hey man, I want to go back and cover a ZZ song, and I don't want it to be one of the hits that everybody covers. Let's go do Brown Sugar. And that intro is really cool because you can hear his jewelry vibrating around because that was not intended to be on the record. He went into my producer's studio and said, I'm going to show Tim how to play Brown Sugar correctly. Send him this intro and then have him redo it. And I heard the intro and I'm like, I am not touching that. That is the most cool, honest, authentic thing. And I struggled for a while. I was like, do we want his jewelry vibrating around? And I was like, yeah, because it is a 76-year-old rock god with a microphone and a guitar in front of him doing that one take.
Yeah.
And I've a couple buddies are like, by the way, those are the coolest yeahs on planet Earth. My Navy SEAL friend heard it and he's like, that's the coolest yeah I've ever heard. Where he goes, yeah. And then he does it the second time, he goes, that's the second coolest yeah I've ever heard. Then he does it the third time, that's the third coolest. So there's some kind of swagger and magic there. And if you go back and listen to Big Head Todd and the Monsters, they covered John Lee Hooker's Boom Boom Boom. And it was because they were in a studio next to John Lee Hooker. And he came in and did it. And it was kind of the same thing where he just played and then the band jumped in. So I kind of modeled that. And then Billy called Slash. And then I was like, holy crap, here we go.
That's incredible. And those are, I mean, again, both of those musicians transcend the world. They bring it together as far as, it's good time, fun music. And that's really an awesome story about Brown Sugar. And of course, we've been playing The Devil You May Know and Break Me Down, but this new single, I mean, it's going to blow the world apart. Tell us about this new album that you've got. Again, this is not you got seven full-length albums, and this is your seventh one coming up in July. Tell us about the entire state of Montana.
Yeah, man. It was named by Charlie Sheen. He thanked me in his book. At the end of the book, he put, "I'd like to thank the entire state of Tim, Montana." So he coined the phrase. And then I thought about there's fun songs in this record, there's dark songs, introspective songs. I'm like, this is the entire state, mental state, whatever that state is, and how cool to have it named by Charlie. So then I asked Charlie, I said, hey, dude, will you do like an intro, like welcome to the entire state of Tim, Montana? And he goes, no, I've got to write a skit. So he wrote this skit. And then I had Robert Patrick, who played the Terminator T-1000 and Terminator 2, huge
Oh, I love that
actor.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's in it as the prosecuting attorney. And then Charlie called and said, well, I need a judge. He goes, I'm going to go to my dad's house. I'm going to have him read the lines for the judge. And then I was like, oh, sick. And I was like, whoa, your dad. That's not just any run of the mill dad. That's the dad. So
Right.
Martin Sheen, the first voice you hear on my record, which I've asked when I'm doing interviews, like, can you guess the first voice you hear on the record? And I'm like, I'll give you a million guesses, you'll never get it. And I'm like, Martin Sheen. They're like, from Apocalypse Now. So he opens the album,
Oh,
and
cool.
then yeah, and then it just gets into it, man. You've got Jerry Cantrell on it, Slash, Billy Gibbons, Royal Lynn, and then one of my favorite, most powerful songs is I went to the Crow Reservation in Montana. I grew up around native tribes. I grew up going to powwows, and I wanted to work with natives. And so I got a drum group called Wolf Bear, and then my friend First Crazy Dog, and they're actually singing on the record in Native Crow. We went and shot on the Little Bighorn River, where the battle was with Sitting Bull and Custer. So it was really powerful. A lot of praying and smudging, and had to get with the tribe and make sure that I was good to go there, and they loved it, and it did. I think that song really has purpose because I grew up in poverty, and unfortunately, a lot of these native tribes up here live in absolute poverty, and music helped me survive that time in my life. And I hope that I know it did a lot of good for the kids that sang on it. They're probably 18 to 25, most of them, and it gave them a sense of purpose. And I'm really excited to amplify, especially on America's 250s, man. Without the native tribes, I mean, they're the first people. So that feature for me was very personal, and I'm super honored to have worked with the Crow Nation. So
Very cool. What you're talking about right now is very, very similar to New Mexico, even though we're on different sides basically of the country geographically, we share a lot of those similarities. I appreciate your candor and respect in regards to the native nations for sure.
yeah,
And I did
absolutely.
see, well, I was doing some homework on you. I was perusing through your Facebook, saw that there was a big festival that you were talking about out there in Montana, something like a fair. You
Yeah,
want to
Crow Fair.
tell us? Yeah. What
Yeah.
was that?
So that's where I met first Crazy Dog and Wolf Bear, and I was invited down to the reservation by a friend named Sean Backbone. We both got an award at the governor's office. He's helping Native kids bring basketball back, and he's Crow, and so he's like, "Come down to Crow Fair," and he's a little standoffish at first. And I was like, "Hey, buddy, I grew up in a trailer with no power, and my dad went to prison when I was a kid and never saw him again." And all of a sudden, he clicked. I'm like, "I'm not just some rich white dude from Bozeman, Montana, brother. I'm a native up here, local." And so he brought me down to the res, introduced me to everyone, and that was such a cool night. It's like the teepee capital of the world. So it was pitch black when we got there, and it's just horses ripping through bareback, and you got 5-year-old kids riding bareback better than most cowboys I'd ever seen. Fires everywhere, teepees, and we just hung out with the Crow all night. And then I found this group of drummers because they had all kinds of powwow drummers out competing there at the Arbor, and just hit it off. And I'm excited this year because on my way to Sturgis, I go right through Crow Agency, and I go through right when they're doing Crow Fair again. So now I'm going to go back, having made the music with them, and yeah, it's pretty special, man. We're going to do. They're trying to get me in the sweat lodge. I think I'm going to do it. Yeah, and I always drive through the Crow Reservation to get out of Montana to go on tour, and so I stop, and then a bunch of the guys show up and pray and smudge the coach, and it's really cool. I'm glad to call them my friends. So
Nice, nice. So many other segues. Real quickly though, have you been through New Mexico anytime lately?
not lately. I've been through there over the years a bunch, but yeah, I haven't been there lately. So
Great place, man. You got to come down here and play for us and party for sure.
oh yeah, I love that.
So you were talking about Charlie Sheen. I want to go back to that because I know you have a great friendship and relationship with him. How did that come about? And are you sitting right now in the coach that you bought from him?
No, I'm not. I'm in a different coach. I'm an Integra coach
Okay.
up here in Montana. The coach I bought from him is in Nashville, but a Navy SEAL from Butte, Montana, named Rob O'Neill was famously on the Bin Laden raid. He's a SEAL Team 6 DevGer guy, absolute beast of a human being. And he joined the Navy because of the film Navy SEALs. So when all the news came out Osama bin Laden was killed, then Charlie wanted to meet him. He went to meet Charlie, and of course, he plays in my music. And so Charlie's like, I love this guy's music. So then I ended up going to LA. I picked up Billy Gibbons. He was in town and brought him for my first ever meeting with Charlie Sheen. I asked him to direct my video. I said, there's one segue. I don't have a record deal and I don't have any money. Then he's like, I got you, dude. I'll help make this happen. So I got some sponsors involved. Charlie did it free. And that is what got me my record deal. and they'd passed on me. Like, if anyone's listening, I'd been passed on 2 or 3 times by every label over 10 years, and was like, I don't think I'm ever going to get a record deal. And then Charlie Sheen showed up in my life, and we snuck in the back door of BMG Records, and they're like, all right, this guy's not going home, is he? He's here with Charlie Sheen now.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, so we got the deal done, and we've been friends ever since. So it's cool to come full circle and get him on this album now that I'm, in the game a little bit more. So
So you know him obviously very intimately, more so than everybody, but and we see him and on the media and TV, and he's a wild and crazy dude. What's he like when you just kind of settle down chilling with him?
he's sober now. Gosh, years. I want to say 8 years, something like that. So thank God, because the world would spin off his access if he wasn't. But he's a dad now, but he's also the funniest dude on planet Earth. Like, his jokes, half the time I have to sit there and think about him for a second, and then they registered. I'm like, oh, so his comedy's on its own level. Excuse me, which is unbelievable. And yeah, he's got his boys, his girls. I've met his kids. He's very much a family man, and just a great dude. And again, I cannot express to you how funny that guy is. So funny.
Very cool. So we were talking about songs that kind of bring people together, man, and you guys did This Beard Came Here to Party. I know you did that quite a few years back, and it ended up being a kind of a theme song for the Nashville Predators NHL hockey team, which won the Stanley Cup that year, and that song was kind of the rally behind that. How does it feel to be kind of part of sports lore in that regard? I always love that. I think when Metallica, I saw them in a San Francisco Giants baseball game, and they were playing the theme to ESPN Sports Center, da 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 da, and that kicked ass. And I always love that crossover with hard rock or any kind of music with sports. But that's something that you'll always have that you could talk about. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, before that, me and Billy's friendship really hinged around the Boston Red Sox. And I'm not a sports guy because I grew up without television. Now I appreciate sports a little more, but when I was a kid, it wasn't in my house because we didn't watch TV. Our sports were splitting wood and doing chores. Um, but the Red Sox licensed it, won the World Series, and I ended up at Fenway Park painting home plate, singing the national anthem. We're on the cover of, God, it was a huge newspaper nationwide. And it went like all over the country. And people were like, dude, why are you with the Red Sox on the cover of USA Today?
Oh,
So
damn.
these beards came here to party. These beards came here to win was the headline. It was me, Billy Gibbons, pictures of Big Poppy and Mike Napoli, and names that I would have never known had I not participated in that. And then we made the official movie. Even Barack Obama called to thank them. And the next thing was on their World Series win was Tim Montana and Billy Gibbons. This beard came here to party with the Red Sox. So it started there. And then the Predators got it. So we kind of have the beard sports market cornered. If you're growing your beard out and you're going to the playoffs of the World Series, it's a good luck song. Um, but I just played next to Fenway Park House of Blues in Boston. Love Boston. And I hit them up. Of course, they remembered. And so they got the band tickets right behind home plate. And I was like, man, something very nostalgic and American about sitting at a baseball game, especially in Fenway. And then the next show we go to, we're in Pittsburgh, and I've done the anthem for the Steelers a bunch, or once actually. And then I called them, and they got us tickets to see the Pirates. So this was actually, oddly enough, for a guy that doesn't watch sports, this was like this tour on off days. We were at more baseball parks. It was so funny. So
That's killer, man. That's really cool. I know we only got a couple of minutes left, but I did want to ask you, what is your fiddle of choice right now, and who is your favorite guitarist of all time?
oh man, I play a Fender Telecaster with a humbucker, so that's what I use. Favorite guitarist of all time? That's tough. I mean, I got to throw it to my man Gibbons because I'm just in his circle. Everyone would expect me to grab that, but
Right.
I also love Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and Billy's introduced me to Jimmy Vaughan, so I've got to sit there and talk about Stevie Ray with his brother Jimmy, and that was really cool. Like it's like a big brother little brother thing where he wouldn't let Stevie in the band, and then his guitar player, his drummer went, to the bathroom, and he's like, "Bro, have you heard your little brother in that room over there?" He's like, "Shut up, dude." He's like, "He wails." And so I think Stevie became Stevie because Jimmy put the pressure on him. Like, no, you're not good enough. And all of a sudden, he's like, "Oh my god, my brother's the best that's ever done it."
Oh,
So
wow.
I love that era of guitar players. Of course, Clapton and Jeff Beck, and yeah, Jerry Cantrell. Slash. You know, you get into the later years, so. And
Nice.
I love a lot of. I don't have a favorite of all time. I think they all add something so important to this musical landscape. And if you can take a little bit from all of them, you got her nailed.
All right. Well, his name is Tim Montana. He's been kind enough to join us right here on 94.5 KTBL The Pit, as well as Zero Hour Squared Classics brand new album, July 31st, entire state of Tim Montana. Tim, it's been a pleasure to have you on. Is there anything final that I didn't ask you that you'd like to tell our listeners out here in New Mexico?
Thank you guys for your support, man. Appreciate every bit of it. Thanks for spinning me on the radio. It's a lifelong dream. So thank you.
There was one more question I did want to ask you, and that was, will you be coming through New Mexico? And I know you're going to be doing Rocklahoma, which we've been talking about a lot here on the Pit. And there was another venue that you played Full Throttle. You got that coming up. So shout out to Jesse James Dupree. That's coming up here in August, I believe.
Yep. Got Sturgis coming. Got Rocklahoma. I don't have any New Mexico dates on the books yet, but I adore New Mexico. So I'm hoping, if not later this year, then we get out there in 2027. So.
Very cool. All right. Once again, Tim Montana, thank you very much. This is 94.5 KTBL, The Pit, and the Zero Hour Squared Classics. Okay, one more thing. Can you just give me an ID? Say, this is Tim Montana. You're listening to The Pit. Say it any way you want.
Okay. This is Tim Montana. You are listening to The Pit.
Awesome. All right, brother. We are done. I thank you very
Awesome.
much. That was a
Thank you,
great
Mike.
interview.
Appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you, man. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.